Alright, so I am at Las Vegas here in test session mode, driving an Xfinity car. Going to try to lay down a decent lap here at Vegas, then talk about the line I'm running and the setup and everything. I have ran a 30.676 with this, and that is in test session, so that's with no draft or anything. The leaderboard, I think to even be 10th place all time on the leaderboard, you got to run like a 30.37. I couldn't get there. I doubt that I could get there even with draft, to be honest, but I still think this is a pretty decent setup. It's a few tenths off there, but again, I'm running with no draft. This is a 3-gear setup, which I usually don't do. I think this is maybe only the second 3-gear setup that I've done. I just wasn't happy with the gearing options available, considering you're stuck with a 1.00 ratio for 4th gear. So I decided to go with the 3-gear setup, which is why I am running around here in 3rd gear. You can go to 4th gear if you're trying to get some fuel economy. So that is an option, but it's designed to be ran as a 3-gear setup. That was a 30.777. That is almost exactly a tenth off my all-time best, and that's usually what I go for, to try to get within about a tenth of my best to show what the setup can do. But let's talk about the line I'm running at Vegas and see what we can do with it. I try to kind of take a very, very wide arc into the corner when I'm going into 3 and 4. So you kind of start off wide. You start the corner pretty early. I should back up here and talk about when I say start the corner pretty early. I want to say, whoa, you're kind of wanting to start turning the wheel back around here when you're getting before you actually get into the corner, because you want to start moving off the wall fairly early. When you're running through 3 and 4, you can run it wide open. As the tires wear, maybe you lift just a little bit, but you kind of take a wide arc and kind of get yourself down to the bottom of the track here and kind of run the bottom here. But I have found where I am always preaching stay low on exit, stay low on exit. You actually don't want to stay at the very bottom here at Las Vegas. It just seems like if I am staying at the very bottom, by the time I get to the start-finish line, I am about 181, 82 miles an hour. If I take a little wider arc and come out of here, I am running like 187, 188 at the line. You don't get real wide, but you almost run it a little bit like Kansas, where you get up to the top and dive down to the bottom. You want to kind of get a little bit above the suggested line and then kind of dive down and then run the apron when you get to the start-finish line. Kind of, it seems like that change in elevation, you're going downhill, and it really gives you a lot of speed. And then I try to run the apron or close to the apron all the way across the start-finish line. But again, I go a little bit wider coming out of the corner, but I dive down to the bottom, take advantage of that downhill run. Going into 1 and 2, I think the big key is you've got to not overdrive it. You've got to lift early. It seems like about maybe somewhere around in here, I think I am lifting, and you lift just a little, let the car come down the track, and then get right back on the throttle. It seems like your best laps in Las Vegas are when you can get back on the throttle earlier. You can drive it without lifting all the way into the middle of the corner, and then lift and then get back on it. But it seems like when you're lifting that late, you're losing a ton of speed on corner exit. Through the middle of the corner, I don't get real concerned about being above the suggested line a little bit. But again, this is where I do try to get down to the bottom coming out of here. Excuse me, I got to sneeze. Pardon me, sorry about that. But I do try to get down near the bottom on the exit of 2, so I run 1 and 2 very different than 3 and 4. But that's a lap at Vegas. Let's go look at the setup. So looking at this setup, I did a lot of things, struggled with this to try to get to where it was something that I felt like was a decent setup. I went with a little heavier front weight, not real heavy. I've gone a lot heavier on other mile and a halves, but this is where the car just it seemed to be comfortable here. Not a lot real radical or crazy in the bump or rebound or the springs. Those are pretty typical spring settings for me. I did mess with the tire pressure a little bit to try to, I think I was trying to fight a little bit of an understeer and went down on the right front and up on the right rear. Tire wear is an issue. I want to say I had to pit with about 2 laps of fuel to go because I was going to blow a tire. So I usually try to get better tire wear, but this is about as good as I could do. Las Vegas seems to be just hard on tires in general, and this was as good as I can do, but you will probably have to pit with a couple of laps left. With Las Vegas, this thing starts off feeling kind of tight. Vegas has a little bit of that Texas feel to it, in that when you're coming off a turn 4, it wants to get really sideways on you. I wound up going down on the right track bar. I think I had started off with a track bar of like 13 and a half, and it felt okay, but then when the tires wore, you started getting really loose. So I had to crank that track bar down, and then I also had to crank down the right front rebound setting. I started off with an 8 and wound up at a 5 to try to alleviate the loose off condition when the tires wore. If you're still experiencing that, continue to go down on both the right front rebound and the right track bar. If this is just too tight for your liking, especially on exit, go up on those two. So what else? Not a lot of else to talk about other than the fact that I ran a 3-gear setup here, and this is what I came up with. So only running 3rd gear. You can shift to 4th gear if you want to save fuel. If you want to play around with the gearing, the other gearing I looked at was going all the way up to 115 in 3rd gear and down to somewhere in about 280 to 291 depending on your driving style. I was getting pretty similar lap times. You might like that gearing a little better, just personal preference, but that's another option on the gearing that might help you. So with that, I will wrap up this video. I've probably talked more than I normally do, but had a lot to say. If you like this, please like the video. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. I think I just hit 800 subscribers, so we're really starting to get quite a subscriber base, and I am so proud of that people think enough of these videos to subscribe to the channel. But just want to say thank you guys for the support. Everybody have a great day, and hope this helps you turn some fast laps.